All right, guys, I just got out of 1917, the premiere night showing of it, and going to give you guys my quick review. And I'll start. I mean, do I really need to do spoiler free? I mean, the war kind of already happened, so I guess there's no real spoilers. I apologize in advance. My voice is going away because I'm getting sick, so this is probably my last video until I'm not sick again. Anyway, so my wife and I went and saw 1917 over here in Vegas tonight at the first showing. And so here, let me give you some positive impressions first because I have a lot of thoughts on this movie. First of all, some positives. There are the cinematography in the movie is really cool. It's really neat. It actually follows the soldiers from the very beginning, where they're walking through a trench, all the way until they reach their destination, which you already know the story if you've seen the previews. And there's really no break in time. There's no scene shifts where now they're here, now they're there, now he's here, now he's there. You're literally watching him walk from one trench all the way through no man's land and through the forest and whatever, all the way until the end of the film. And there's only one break where it shifts from day to night because he gets knocked out or goes to sleep or whatever. I won't spoil it, I guess, yet. But anyway, uh, it's a single run all the way through the movie, which was really cool. That was really neat to watch, and the camera angles, the sound is fantastic in the movie. Really good sound. The music's cool, very suspenseful, gets you excited for something that's never really happens, and I think that's my only. Oh, and the acting is great. I don't think there were any bad acting moments. No bad characters. Everyone was fantastic. There's a lot of extras in this film. All the times they're walking through the trenches, you could see just hundreds and hundreds of soldiers walking by. They must have spent a ton on extras for this. And I'm not a expert in the First World War, but from what I could tell, the uniforms were pretty authentic. The weaponry was the way that the soldiers acted and handled themselves, as far as I know. Now, I'm not an expert, so take that as you will. So let's get into from here. I'm actually going to give you a little bit of the story as I go through it. So if you think there's spoilers to this kind of movie, I guess stop here. And my general impressions, I guess I could say, are not very good. This was not a bad film. It was a great made film. It just didn't need to be a film. And I'll explain that later in my review. So if you saw the previews and you're thinking this is going to be a really epic World War One movie, it really is not an epic World War One movie. It's just a World War One movie about two guys, essentially one guy really. And if you're going to see a big fight, a big battle, it's not going to happen. There's really no payoff. If you've seen the previews, you've seen all the action. That's pretty much all the action in the entire film is in the previews. Literally all of it is there. And that's it. The rest of the movie is not that way. So anyway, that's the end of the spoiler-free part. And if you're afraid of spoilers for some reason, go ahead and stop. Though there really aren't any. Anyway, so here we go. Uh, this film was more like watching Castaway and what's that one with Leonardo DiCaprio where he's out in the wilderness and he's fighting to survive because someone betrayed him or whatever. Revenant. My wife's downstairs. She just reminded me. The Revenant. So it's like a mix of Castaway meets Revenant with World War One uniforms. There's not really big action at all anywhere in the movie. It's just a story of two guys trying to survive, going from A to B, going to save these guys before they go and do an attack. That is the whole film, is these two guys and eventually one guy, because one of them dies, trying to get to this destination. And there's very little action, very little. And listen, I respect the story they're trying to tell. I don't want them to go out of their way to make an action-packed World War One film that's unrealistic. So I respect what they did. Okay, it was really great cinematography. But my wife made a really good point when we were driving home tonight. She said, "You know, this movie would be better as a book. It would make a better book than it would a movie." And it's funny. I think it's the first time I've ever thought of a movie that would be better as a book than as a movie, rather than a book that would be great as a movie. So she had a really good point, though. It was a cool story, and it's an interesting story of survival, but it's not a war story. I mean, it is a war story. Obviously, it's based in in World War One, but it's there's no action in the sense that there's big battles going on. He's not involved in any of this. It's just a story about two guys. Now, if you're into that sort of thing, you like the individual based stories on just two people, and you don't care about the big fights and stuff like that, then you'll love this film. It's really cool in that sense, and it was a cool story. This was the kind of movie that I got out of, and I thought, I'm never going to watch this movie ever again. I've seen the story. It's like, it's a one-off story. It's not the kind you come back to and like, man, I got to watch that again. That was amazing. One time and you're good. You will have seen it and you'll think, all right, that was cool. Never going to watch that again. And it's hard to criticize this film because they did a fantastic job of respecting that era and respecting the story of these two guys, but it was definitely not my kind of film. If you're going to see big World War One fight, now listen, I know that most of the First World War was spent in the trenches fighting for inches of land. It wasn't some big sweeping arc of a fight like World War II was, where you're fighting with tanks, armored vehicles, and whatnot. This one, it was infantry and trenches, and tanks didn't show up until the end of the war in force. They were there early in the war, but there were very few. They were experimental, so on and so forth. Sorry, I'm trying to keep my throat clear enough to finish this review before I lose my voice. um, so, I mean, I want to like this movie. I feel guilty for not liking it, but I was really disappointed, to be quite honest with you. I went expecting to see a war movie, and I saw a bunch of reviews. This should have been my first warning. I tend to disagree with critics on almost every movie. If they love the movie, probably because it's some artistic, brave choice, and it's just boring as all get out. And I thought, well, they really gave this one a high review. It was like 95% when I looked at it, and it must be really good. Then I thought, well, I always disagree with the reviewers. It's probably going to be horrible, or it's going to be some really artistic film with nothing entertaining for me. But I better go because it's 1917. I love that era of history. I would love to see more films made in that and in the American Civil War. But I went and I was pretty disappointed. One of the reviews says, "Oh, it's like Saving Private Ryan for this generation." It is definitely not Saving Private Ryan for this generation, let me tell you. Saving Private Ryan was filled with both action and character drama. This is just character drama. There is no action, okay? I mean, there is a moment of action for about probably a combined minute and a half of action in the entire film. And coincidentally, the previews are about a minute and a half, and so you're literally watching every bit of action in the film. The part where he's running and all the soldiers are running by him, charging the enemy, that's it. That's all the action you're going to see. That's all the war you're actually going to be exposed to. There's a small part where he's having a gunfight with one guy up in a tower, reminiscent of the sniper scene in Saving Private Ryan, and that's pretty short-lived, and he gets shot by the guy, and that's when he gets knocked out. That's the one part of the film where there was a gap in time. But I'm trying to think. I don't think there's any other action. There's a chase scene where he's running for his life and he's getting shot at by Germans, but he never shoots back because he's just running. He's trying to escape, and that's it. No fighting. That's it. There's nothing else. No surprises. There's a couple little suspenseful moments in the film which are pretty interesting and would have been cool if they were brought together with action sequences, but clearly the director wasn't going for an action-filled movie, which is fine. I understand it. I appreciate what he was trying to do. I think he did a great job with what he did, which was a very character-focused film on just two characters, and one because the first one dies pretty early in the film. And that was great. He did a good job of that. And if you're into that kind of thing, you'll probably really like this movie because they do that quite well. But I went expecting to see a war film where there was fighting, maybe the Battle of Somme, I forget how to say it, Verdun, or one of those big fights that was the turning point of the war. But it didn't happen. It was just these two guys. I should have known from the previews. It was just these two guys going on a single mission and trying to get a message before it was too late. That's the whole film. It's focused on them. So if you're into that, go see it. If you're not into that, don't go see it. You're going to be pretty disappointed. Or go see it when it's at like the budget theater. Trying to think, is there anything else to really say about this film? Because there's really not much to cover, to be quite honest with you. It was boring, frankly. It was really boring. And the music tried to keep it suspenseful, but a lot of it I was just like, all right, Now they're sneaking to the next place. Now they're sneaking to this place, and now they're sneaking to that place. Just a lot of sneaking, not a lot going on. And after watching it, my wife says, this should be a book. And I thought, yeah, this would make a great book, actually. Maybe it is a book. I don't know. But this would probably be a really cool story to read. But on film, it's really slow paced and a bit boring. The film is well made, but the film was not my kind of film. So anyway, I know this is a really short review. I'm losing my voice. I'm trying to get through it as quick as I can. I would give this film... See, I want to give it like an 8 or 9 out of 10 because it's really well made. But for me, films have to be something that you go to be entertained. You go to escape the world for a couple hours and really enjoy a story or enjoy action or whatever you're into. For me, I was not entertained at all. I was checking my phone a couple times near the end of the movie like, gosh, when is this thing done? This is just dragging on forever and nothing's happening. So as far as how the movie was made, I'd give it an 8 or 9. It's a really great movie as far as how it was put together. But as far as entertaining me goes, it's like a 5 or a 4. Really boring, and I probably won't even buy it. I'm not going to watch it again, ever again, because I didn't miss anything. I feel like I've accomplished the story. That's it. I've seen it. Nothing left to see. I don't want to go back. So if you're into that kind of thing, go see it. I wouldn't recommend it personally. That was a pretty boring movie, to be quite honest with you. And I should have known better. I should have read the reviews, saw how great they were, and thought, yeah, these critics are pretty disconnected from the common guy. I probably shouldn't go see this movie, but I did because I love that period of history as far as film goes, and I was sorely disappointed. So go see it at your own risk, I suppose. I wouldn't, though. So that's it for my review. Not going to be long here. It's just about 12 minutes or so. Sorry that I couldn't give you better news. If you're planning to go see it and you're dead set on going, hey, go see it. But I should warn you, it is a pretty boring film. Very boring, very beautiful. It's a beautiful, boring mess. Actually, it's not a mess. It's just beautiful and boring. That's what it is. So that's it. Talk to you all later. And that's it for 1917. Go see the beautiful, boring film that it is.